Ladies and gentlemen, this is June 29th, 2020. Type in right now. And if you're listening, type in right now. Just press pause. And type in right now, officials familiar. Just put quotations around officials familiar. Washington Post, June 14th, officials familiar with Lafayette Square confrontation. CNN, June 14th, Washington Post, officials familiar with Lafayette Square. NBC, officials familiar with the intelligence 6 hours ago. New York Times, officials familiar with the matter, Trump got written briefing. Go to the second page on Google. In separate interviews, two high-level administration officials familiar with most of the Trump-Putin calls. This is Mercury News. Three officials familiar with the discussion said Trump has grown upset. This is on Twitter. Yahoo. Officials familiar with Lafayette Square. Okay, I'm just reading. You type in officials familiar. And go to the third page of the search. White House China report calls Beijing's lack of transparency. 2 or 3 officials familiar with the report. April 8th, 2020. Intelligence reports warned of pandemic. 2 officials familiar. NBC Bay Area, 2 officials familiar with. I can't even see what the now I should actually put in Trump also. Giuliani pressed Trump to eject cleric. Officials familiar with the discussions October 25th, 2019. We can go on forever. Let's just, officials, Trump, Mull's, okay, officials familiar, 2017. Trump administration pushing to rip global supply chains. Officials familiar with U.S. planning, May 4th, 2020. Barr didn't do justice to Mueller report. Officials tell New York, April 4th, CNBC. The Times said 2 government officials familiar with the Barr's thinking. We can go on forever. Journalism is no longer alive. Do you understand? Do you understand? Journalism is no longer alive. It's no longer alive. Bernie Sanders briefed by U.S. officials that Russia is trying to help officials familiar with the briefing. June 4th, 2019, Paul Manafort could be moved to New York this month. Officials familiar. So it's always officials familiar with. I haven't even typed in Trump. So officials familiar Trump. Trump got written briefing in February on the Russian activities, officials say. Officials familiar. From pandering to Putin to ignoring our allies. Officials familiar. I mean, do you want to... We can go on forever. This is not journalism. Journalism is no longer alive. The intelligence officials say Russia is interfering in the 2020 election. Officials familiar with the closed-door briefing. AP News, how Trump's advisors schooled him on globalism. Officials familiar. But according to current U.S. and former U.S. officials familiar. We can do this forever. This is gossip. Clashes among top Homeland Security. Undermine Trump's agenda, November 27th. Human Health Services officials familiar. So, I mean, we can go on forever. Intelligence officials warn that Russia is again meddling, according to 3 officials familiar with the closed-door briefing. It's February 21st. Intel officials, February 21st, 2020, Florida politics. Intel officials say Russia boosting Donald Trump candidacy. Officials from 3 officials familiar. AP News. Oh, okay, that's another one. Okay, so Axios. Trump's loyalty clashes with agency heads. Officials familiar, June 14th. April 8th. Intelligence warned of pandemic, according to 2 officials familiar. Do you get my point, ladies and gentlemen? Agent Smith, hello. Do you get my point, ladies and gentlemen? Ramon, hello. Climb BMX, hello. Paul, hello. Paul Bartlett, hello. Have a great evening, Paul. Thank you. I spent 6 minutes. And you can go ahead and saying, this is, okay, according to current and former U.S. officials. So type in this is not evidence. I don't care about hearsay or gossip from people who don't like Trump. I don't care about hearsay or gossip. But here, April 27, 2020, the President's intelligence briefings book repeatedly cited the pandemic, according to U.S. and former U.S. officials. According to current and former U.S. officials, April 27, 2020, Washington Post. Trump revealed highly classified information to Russia, May 15, 2017, according to current and U.S. former officials. According to current and former U.S. officials. Why would I care about the opinions of people who are not named? These are not sources. These are reasons to write a headline to disparage Trump. Where were the current and former U.S. officials disparaging President Obama or Bush? Where were the U.S. officials disparaging or undermining or demeaning President Obama or Bush? They weren't anywhere to be. They were nowhere to be found. Trump was warned about the pandemic threat in more than a dozen cases, according to U.S. and former officials. So, officials cringe as Trump spilled sensitive details. NBC News, according to U.S. and former U.S. officials. According to current and former U.S. officials, October 29th. I could do this for an hour. Baltimore Sun, April 30th. Trump officials are said to have pressed spy agencies regarding the pandemic and Trump's knowledge, according to current and former U.S. officials. We can do this forever. Journalism no longer exists. To my super chat, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no more, there's no such thing anymore as journalism. It's now an appeal to authority without any basis or fact or without any basis in objective reality. I can't simply say that President Trump I can't simply say that because U.S. former current according to multiple officials familiar with the matter, or current and former U.S. officials say something, that's not evidence. That has never been evidence. It is not evidence. That is simply, it is not evidence. It is an appeal to authority because you don't like President Trump. You don't like Trump, so therefore anyone's opinion is better than President Trump's. This is the issue. The issue is that you've done away with basic logic. You've done away with basic tenets of journalism and fact-checking, and you can claim without evidence, but if Trump gives an opinion he claimed without evidence, you better believe he claimed without evidence. But if you cite current and former U.S. officials, that's evidence. That is not evidence. That is not evidence. Climb BMX! Are you target for? I don't know because I'm in pristine. Okay, they got Step Today Sticks or Mark Dice. Are you next? I pray not. Thank you. Climb BMX. Climb BMX. Thank you. I lay below. I always fly below the radar, and I read from the New York Times and the Washington Post. And Climb BMX. I'm pretty much. In baseball, you could say I'm a 275, 280 hitter. Sluggo, 3 slug, hello, thank you. Climb BMX, I'm just a fastball hitter, and I pull it over the green monster. That's it. I'm just good at like 1 or 2 or 3 things that I focus on, and I don't talk about issues that YouTube would, kind of frown upon. So I'm in pristine standing with YouTube always. Thank God. But also I work at it, and you know who helps me? Luke St. Martin and Eric H526. Luke St. Martin, quick draw Luke, and the regulator Eric H526. They're they're really great moderators, and it's important. Climb BMX, for example, like when you have a live stream. Sluggo 3 slug, thank you. When you have a live stream, Pete Solano, thank you. Hello, Pete. Pete Solano, hello. When you have a live stream, when you do a lot of live streams, you need moderators. If you're on YouTube and you do live streams, you do need moderators. And if I have 2 out of the goodness of their own heart who enjoy doing this, and I'm very thankful to Eric H526 and Luke St. Martin. But I mean, also, like if you notice Climb BMX, my headlines or my titles are like completely vanilla, plain, and it's hilarious because I think that my viewers who enjoy my work, they know the way I write my headlines, which is very vanilla, very plain, not controversial, but they're bizarre in an amusing way that people hopefully will click on, not because of anything I've done that's, deceitful, but, just the fact that our political system is so bizarre nowadays that I take a different vantage point. I take a very different vantage point from most people, and it's amusing. So Climb BMX, thank you. Climb BMX, thank you so very, very much. Agent Smith, thank you. But yeah, I mean, I spent like 10 minutes now doing the same thing. This is basic logic. November 4th. There's November 3rd and The Hangover, November 4th. I spend 10 minutes highlighting the fact that there is no such thing as current and former U.S. officials or officials familiar with the matter or two anonymous sources. There's no such thing as correlating those phrases to evidence. That is not evidence. That is gossip, hearsay. That is not journalism. And that has happened more so, Klein BMX, thank you. That has happened more so during President Trump's administration. During President Obama's administration, there were never any anonymous intelligence officials who came out of the woodwork and said, President Obama did not listen to the... Why would I care if Trump didn't listen to intelligence sources? Why? Why would I care? Why on earth would I care if President Trump did not listen to intelligence sources? I have no way of finding out if these intelligence operatives or sources or reports are accurate. How on earth do I know if the next John Brennan or Clapper or Comey, if they're giving accurate intelligence to the President of the United States of America? How on earth would I know this? Pearl Harbor, Bay of Pigs, Gulf of Tonkin, didn't even the intelligence community, the wonderful, we should be so reverent that we have them. They didn't even predict the fall of the Berlin Wall. We can go through the 70s. They didn't predict a whole bunch of events. And then President Bush's horrible failed presidency was predicated, his foreign policy was predicated upon intelligence failures. So why would I care what intelligence says about anything? So all they do is they say current and former U.S. intelligence, current and former U.S. intelligence, current and former U.S. officials. These people do not like President Trump. That's it. They don't like President Trump. That's it. These people don't like President Trump, and that's it. That's all that is. That's what this is all about, basically. Trump got written briefings, officials say. What do I care about officials say? And furthermore, if that's true, then you remove Americans from that country forever. We should not be there. We shouldn't be there for 20 years. There's no reason why we should be there for 20 years. So, I mean, you remove if the issue is, well, in this country, Russia is doing this. Well, we did the same things, essentially, when Russia was there. That's why we should leave. That's why we should no longer be there. That is why we should no longer be there. But see, they don't see things that way. The way they look at things is the following. The intelligence reports show that Trump was inept, and we should trust the intelligence reports, even though we have no evidence they're accurate. But they have to be accurate. I mean, look at Trump, Nobody gives him the benefit of the doubt ever. And when they lose again November 3rd, my God. First, last, more dope. First, last. I have to thank, I really have to thank in my live stream 2 nights ago, or last night, I should say. Let's see. First, last, I need to thank you. First, last, I need to thank you very much. First, last, thank you. And thank you so very much. You, this is how much I spent on. This is yesterday. First, last, thank you so very, very much. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. And I thank you very much, sir. Thank you. First, last, thank you. Commie leftist, first and last time a commie sends anyone. Commie leftist, hello. Thank you. Commie leftist, hello. Thank you. First, last, thank you again. Greatly, 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 greatly appreciated. The other night, thank you. But I mean, you look at why would I care what intelligence reports or what? Thank you. First, last, hello. Why would I care? First, last, thank you again, as always. Thank you for always watching. Thank you. Why would I care if President Trump didn't listen to an authority figure? Why on earth would I give a you-know-what? Why would I care? Because isn't the so then they say, well, the President of the United States of America wields a great deal of authority. Okay, well, isn't he then an authority figure? How does he not wield such authority? I don't understand that. So they say, well, the intelligence community disagrees with Trump. The Senate Intel report disagrees with Trump. We should believe these people. We should believe the experts and the pundits and the journalists, but we shouldn't believe William Barr. We shouldn't believe the Justice Department. Well, we should believe the Justice Department when President Obama is presiding over it. Then we should believe. Then it's very accurate. When Attorney General Loretta Lynch meets with Bill Clinton to speak about golf, Brexit, and grandchildren, very, very accurate. Oh, so accurate. But not so accurate when William Barr is there. Then it's not accurate at all. Then it's just horrible. So that's the type of thing that goes on. You have this, like, this is the problem with society, or I should say media today. It's pure public relations, and it is fabricated. Politics has always been, a battle of ideas or a battle of agendas or a battle of political objectives by two sides, Democrat, Republican. And it's always been nasty. But there's a new element here. The element here is this kind of allegiance to what people view as credible. Not necessarily, that doesn't mean evidence. That means what people feel is truthful. The truth is not necessarily relevant. It's what people feel is accurate. So it's not whether or not something is accurate. It's whether or not somebody feels that a report is credible or truthful or accurate or perhaps trying to be. And if you're so there's this move away from objective reality. Objective reality is that President Trump never should have been investigated because the DNC being infiltrated by Russia is not national security. And if you feel it is, that another country interfered in our election, how did they do so? By informing the United States of America of how utterly corrupt the Democratic Party is. The unprecedented, unique in the history of the United States of America, the first time ever they blatantly cheated a candidate. It never happened before, ever. Where did they cheat? Where did you have a political party doing what they did to Bernie Sanders? When? Do we know? Maybe. We don't. Well, I can't think of an instance, but when? And they spent 3 years saying, well, Russia did this. Oh, my God. This is hilarious. Spies and commandos warned months ago of Russian, then we should leave that part of the world. Or should we stay there and then fight the Russians? So, what do Democrats want us to do, by the way? I don't really know. They want us to stay there forever? Is that how it works? We need to stay there forever. Because President Trump is getting us out of there. So, what I don't understand is, aside from criticizing Trump, what do Democrats actually believe in? Like, what do they stand for? What do they stand for? I don't know. They don't believe in anything. They don't stand for anything. So, like, what is the deal? What is it that they want to achieve? I don't know what they want to achieve. So I don't even think they know what they want. Their thing is that as long as they can defeat President Trump, it's all good. Whatever it takes to defeat President Trump, it's all good. But they don't know. They don't have an actual objective. And I mean, I think this is the longest I've ever waited. Hillary Clinton's going to be the nominee. It ain't going to be Biden. It ain't going to be Biden. Chris, hello. It ain't going to be Biden. So, it's going to be Clinton. And I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. She's the only chance they have. Biden would get absolutely obliterated. He would get absolutely obliterated in the Electoral College and also in any debate. Pete Solano, H.A., why are Democratic senators not in jail for lying? Well, the issue with Democrats is that they can get away with a lot. They can get away with a great deal because they have media. So Pete Solano, thank you again as always, Pete. Thank you. Thank you. Very kind of you. Eric H526. Pete Solano, thank you. I think that you look at the way the Democratic Party and media, the symbiotic relationship between Democratic Party and media, it's kind of like they need one another. And the funny thing is, when media decides, when President Trump wins again, because he's on pace to win, ladies and gentlemen, he's not on pace to lose. So he's not on, like, they say that, oh, well, the polls look really bad, and oh my God, and the polls look horrible, and, he's on pace to lose. Like, no, he's not. And then they say, like, the rebuttal is that, well, the polls were within the margin of error. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. You're talking about the popular vote a day before the election or the day of the election. Now, the popular vote is a function of money spent. President Trump was outspent 2-1. And then he had the popular vote account for, did the polls let you know that Gary Johnson of the Libertarian Party was going to take 4.5 million votes away? I don't think the polls accounted for that. Did the swing state polls tell you that President Trump would win? No. That's why 3 days before the election, you had the New York Times saying Clinton has a solid electoral college lead. So, I mean, that's the issue. That's the issue. You have poll numbers now where President Trump is down. Well, who cares? He was down all throughout 2015 and 2016. Who cares? You have to also, people don't use basic logic. They think the polls are not scientific. There's nothing scientific about polls. Calling people on the phone and randomly calling people, and they say, well, it's not random. Yeah, it's random. You're calling people on cell phones, and you have no clue who you're contacting, and you're calling houses. You have no clue who you're contacting. Oh, this is randomly, and it's part of statistics. And no, you are trying to say that you're accounting for all of these different factors. You can't possibly account for 10 or 12, factors associated with accuracy within one poll. Then the public relations spin comes out, and it's complete and utter nonsense. Complete and utter nonsense. President Trump's going to win again. People are not going to vote based on his response to the pandemic or his response to protest. This is not like President Trump's response is subjective. If you're a Trump supporter, you like his response. If you don't like President Trump, then you're not going to like his response. But they ask more Democrats than Republicans. So these polls are complete garbage. They're completely irrelevant and inaccurate again. And see, this is the thing. My life, your life, is not predicated upon Clinton not becoming president. If she becomes president, I won't be happy. It ain't going to be Biden. That's absurd. That's ridiculous. Biden needs to leave his basement first. But, I don't worry and base my life on trying to undermine the Clintons. I just, basically call it the way I see it, and that's it. I don't obsess over, Hillary or Bill's personality the way Democrats do with Trump. They obsess. It's their life. Do you understand? It is their life. They think that they are going up against the worst regimes in human history. They are completely delusional, and when they lose again, you have to understand, when they lose again, their sense of self will be, altered in a very negative way. You're talking about people who give way too much emotion to trying to undermine and denigrate and disparage President Trump. Way too much emotion. Way too much emotion. So, it's, when they lose again, and they will, the question is, what happens to their political party? So, I mean, that's a question. Adrian Smith, there was a recession, and then Bill Clinton is a good campaigner. So, combination. Oh, I was a really good campaigner. I got to tell you something. I had something over Herbert Walker, I'll tell you. If it's Herbert Walker and me, I'm coming out of the octagon, I'll tell you. But, ladies and gentlemen, I think I might call it, it's getting a little late. I think I might call it early. Kyle, hello, make Orwell fiction again. That was good. To my super chat, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to call it early. Check out my latest segment on H.A. Goodman's other channel. And every day, there's 127 days left. I think I'm going to go ahead and countdown to the election. I'll do a countdown to the election channel. Something like I'll do like an H.A. Goodman's number of days left until November 3rd election. So we'll do something like that. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. To my super chat, thank you, Vincent. Thank you, Eric H526. Thank you. Number of days left. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And oh my God, it's been 3 weeks since Okay, I have to do something on that channel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to my super chat. Thank you. Paul, thank you very much. And I will see you all tomorrow morning, everybody. God bless. Thank you so very, very much, everyone. Thanks, everybody. There's 127 days left, people. Just count down every day. November 3rd is going to be the most beautiful day. One of the most beautiful days in American history. And be here on this channel on November 3rd and H.A. Goodman's other channel. And my third channel, I think it'll be days left until November 3rd.